cool people. All right, so let's get started. Ready?
All right.
All right. Hey, I'm so privileged to be speaking with my good friend Ali Zinat, a luxury realtor and with Realty One Group Capital in Northern Virginia, my old stomping grounds. He's been crushing it. He serves Tysons Corner, Reston, and Sterling, as well as other areas. Hey, Ali.
Hey, how you doing, Robert? Great to
Doing
see
well.
you. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you for coming on. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know I already introduced you, but give me some more elaboration.
So I am pretty much as much of a Northern Virginia native as you get. I've been in the area since the mid 80s. I grew up starting like in the Alexandria Falls Church area, eventually moved to Herndon. I went to Herndon High School here locally. And then I went to George Mason for my bachelor's and master's degree. I have an MBA in Fairfax. So I stayed local the whole time. And then afterward, I lived in Reston for quite a while. And now I live here in Sterling in a lovely community called Lowe's Island with my wife and 2 kids.
Nice.
And I have 2 young boys. They're 8 and 5, and they keep me quite busy. I coach my older one in soccer and basketball and hope to get the younger one more involved with swimming and some other sports as well.
So tell me a little bit about your, how did you get into the real estate field?
So I got my license about 8 years ago. I had really kind of gotten interested in real estate back when, we had the boom in the late 90s, early 2000s before, we kind of had the housing bubble. I bought my first house when I was 23 years old. So I was very young.
Dang, good for you.
Yeah, and I remember it because I was very nervous because I was buying my first place and 9/11 had just happened. And I was very worried the market was going to crash. And, it was such a big tragic event and it changed our economy for a short period of time. But yeah, I bought my first place in 2001 in September. So I remember that because it was just a couple of weeks after 9/11 had happened. So yeah, almost 21 years ago, I bought my first place and I rented it out. So I dealt with being a landlord. And then
right off the bat, or did you live there?
No, I didn't live there. I rented it out at the time.
Nice.
To save some money. And I bought a place with my father. I kind of did a flip with him once. And then I sold my place and I bought another place which I moved into in Reston. So I just became a little bit, more interested in it. And then I was always kind of a connector, and I wish I had gotten into real estate actually much earlier. I had some friends that had gotten their license and they kind of, said I'd be great at it. So having kind of always had a large database of friends, and I'd done a lot of work, community efforts in the community. I was on a board of a charity for a long time. Now I'm on a couple of homeowner association boards, but I was always kind of a connector, and it just kind of seemed like the right fit for me doing sales and connecting. Instead of connecting people to other people, was connecting people to, the right home. So it just kind of happened that way.
Excellent. And so tell me about your experience, because being a landlord at that young age, how was that for you? Was it a long learning curve, or did you enjoy it?
It was definitely a learning curve. I mean, you have to learn, what things you can push, on a tenant and what things are more your responsibility as a landlord. But, I had generally a good experience. I'm a firm believer in treating people with respect, treating people with empathy, kindness, and usually that gets you the best results. I was never the type of landlord, and I'm still a landlord now. So I've been a landlord over 20 years. Just being kind to people, being respectful, giving them a property that looks good. When they need something fixed, taking care of it right away. And, I generally believe, if you take care of people, they will take care of you. And that certainly applies in the landlord-tenant relationship. If they see you're doing the right things, they'll be more motivated to take better care of your place, which is ultimately a big investment. Now, you're always going to have some challenging tenants, but for the most part, I've had good experiences, and I've tried to just kind of trust my instinct when I pick someone that's going to be my tenant.
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea to do that. But the reason I was asking is because I have several clients right now who are younger. They're, millennials, and they are right off the bat interested in buying homes to rent out, which I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, you know, I would have never thought about that when I was 23 or 25, heck, 30, 33. I wouldn't have thought about that. But yeah, I think it's great to get that experience and have that ambition to purchase a home and rent it out and become a
Yeah,
landlord at
no,
a young age.
I think I'm glad you brought that up, and I think that's an excellent idea. Obviously, you have to have the financial means to do it.
Correct.
It's very important if you're young to build up your credit, have a good credit score, pay your bills on time. Don't sign up for too many credit cards. Don't, ring up the balances. Don't right out of school when you get a good job, go buy an expensive car with a big loan. Try to, manage your student loans the best you can. But yeah,
Right.
no, I mean, the big mistake I made, like for that place I bought in '01 and another property I bought, I should have just kept them. Uh, I think it's a great idea for younger people, and I'm sure you're the same as me. I wish I started earlier. And if you buy a place at 25 and you just have that 30-year mortgage on it with the rates still very low historically, at 55 you have a place that's paid off,
Absolutely.
and you have some repairs and stuff you do. And I think when I was younger, I was always scared the place was going to get older, it was going to have all these expenses, but they're really all manageable. At some point you have to replace the roof and the HVAC, and maybe you do away with the original windows and the water heater, but these are all expenses that are manageable. And as we've seen, particularly these last few years in the pandemic, and they're expected to continue to rise, as rent prices are up. And
Outrageous. Yeah.
they're and ultimately, you're if you bought a while ago, you have a place that rent is not only covering your mortgage, so they're paying down and you're building up your equity, but you're also netting some money every month. And even after paying whatever expenses that come up, once or twice or three times a year, as far as repairs or, renovating something, you're still coming out on top. So I think for young people, it's an excellent idea to build up a rental portfolio. And then, when you're older, you have places that are paid off or close to paid off, and you have that equity in your home, and you can use it for different things, like, as you're dealing with expense that you have coming up is paying for kids' college, and those prices are going up as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think especially in markets like yours, Atlanta, mine here, there's always renters, so you're never going to have a problem having a place just sitting empty.
And it's a going thing that real estate is the best investment you could have because it in the long term it doesn't depreciate, right?
Hmm.
It always goes up if you keep
Hmm.
terms. And so there's less volatility in real estate than there is in the stock market. Um, last question about that is, have you always taken care of your rentals yourself, or do you use a management company?
So I think, for everybody, that's going to be different. I've always managed it myself. I've picked my rental properties always within a short distance of where I live. If it's something that's an hour away, then I would maybe, or 2 hours away or something like that, I would consider definitely using a property manager to manage all of that for me. But because I am a realtor and I know I'm proficient in writing up a lease and knowing what to check for credit, and I know generally what the rules are, in a tenant landlord relationship, I manage it myself, and it's been pretty easy for me to do. But I think, if you're not in our line of business, and especially if you're living somewhere outside that area where your rental is, it's definitely a good idea to use the property management company to manage that for you.
Okay, I lied. One last question. Do you recommend people who are trying to get into rentals for the first time to purchase a condo, a townhome, or a single family? Which one do you think is easier to manage?
So as far as managing, certainly condos are the easiest to manage, right? You don't have to worry about the exterior. There's no roof you're going to have to take care of, landscaping around the house, or maybe, if it's a place that has a basement and, we get some crazy rains here, so at some point you have to deal with water getting into the basement or things like that. But, what you're going to make on renting out a condo is generally going to be less, because in any nice condo around here, particularly if it's a 2-bedroom or more, you're looking at $400-500 a month or more in condo fees. So it's not the most lucrative, but as far as the easiest to manage, certainly a condo is the easiest to manage, followed by a townhouse, and then last would be a single family home, because there's just a lot more to a single family home. And there's more opportunities of things that could break down and repairs and so forth. I think for most people, townhouses are the sweet spot because they appreciate the most long term. They don't have the hassle of a single family home, and you don't have the burden of buying something that's more expensive and a bigger mortgage. But yes, I think for most people, townhouses work best.
And I think townhomes are, in my opinion, easier to rent
Hmm.
the family because they appeal to more renters. And another thing you have to worry about condos is rental restrictions, right? Many condominium communities have very strict rental restrictions, which you may not have with single family homes.
And yeah, I mean, that's a great point because a friend of mine was just recently looking to unleash a condo they'd had for years that they didn't need anymore. I mean, I'm sorry, not unleash it, but rent it out. But the rules were very strict. It's a condo building in Reston Town Center, very popular area around here. And he called me and he said, "What do you think I should do? Should I try to rent it anyway?" I said, "Absolutely not. You do not want to go against those condo rules."
Yeah.
And they ultimately sold it. So yeah. The other thing I think to mention real quick, and then we can move on to the next topic, is townhouses have become extremely popular for rentals because people want more space. You got a lot of people working from home, and they're going to continue to work from home even as we're starting to get out of the pandemic and so forth. I've had rentals I've done for clients, and you get a lot of people that are in a condo. They're like, "Well, I'm home, my wife's home, and we don't have much space. We want a little bit more space, so we're spread out." And you just get a lot more space in a townhome than you do a small condo. So they've been extremely popular as rentals, particularly during the pandemic.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that viewpoint. That's awesome. All right, Ali, tell me about your market. How's the housing market in your area?
Sure. And since I do have folks that I actually know in the Georgia area, I'd love to hear about your market as well.
Absolutely.
But I think our market here is probably very similar to a lot of the other big markets in the country. It's still very hot. And the interesting thing was, during the pandemic, that first month or two, people didn't know what to think, and then it picked up. Everybody was buying every house up, and the interest rates went low, and down to as low as like 2.5%, and all of a sudden everybody was pouring all their money into homes rather than traveling, entertainment, other things. It became the most valuable asset you could have, and they were buying second homes out more in the country, buying up all the land. And there's places out here an hour or two from here that house would sit on the market for 6 months and it's selling now for a week in a weekend. But yeah, so then we had this area of time where actually it did slow down last summer. I think it was after everybody was kind of vaccinated and people were starting to travel again and spend money in other areas of their lives, and getting to that point where it was their kids are back in school and all the desperate buyers that bought at that point. So we saw kind of this lull from like toward the end of July, August, September, and maybe into October. But really, I'd say here, starting in November, December, December, things really picked up again. And we are in a very, very busy market. I mean, I'm having trouble just scheduling an appointment for my buyers. You call and you're just like, "Well, do you have the whole weekend block for showings?" They're like, "No, every 15-minute block
Absolutely.
for Friday, Saturday, Sunday has already been taken." So you're like, and if they don't have an open house, like, well, when are you going to go see it? And in those situations, they're going to get 10 to 15 offers if every showing is taken, and your buyer, better be ready to make an aggressive offer. So the market here is extremely hot, particularly for townhomes and single family homes. And as I'm sure you're seeing as well, there's a rush of buyers trying to lock in a 30-year loan before the rates potentially go up higher, which, we're seeing rates like right around 4% or even up to 4.25% now. And obviously these rates are the rates for people with the highest, credit and, best portfolio. So there's and then, as I'm sure you're seeing, it's also coupled with just very low inventory. And I talked about this in a short video clip I did. And again, I think we can probably very similar in Atlanta. People just don't have very compelling reasons to sell, unless they're getting divorced, they're downsizing, they're an empty nest now and they don't need as much home. There's just not many compelling reasons to sell. You have a home that you have locked in at a very low rate. If you sell, you're going to probably get a higher rate than before. If you're upgrading, you're going to get a good deal on your home, but you're also going to have to give somebody else a very good deal. So all these factors lead to low inventory. So you have, a lot more buyers, and so they're willing to, go well above and beyond the list price to land a home in this market.
True. One compelling reason would be you're going to get the highest price for your home right now at this moment, and with the rates going up and possibly more inventory coming to market, who knows what's going to happen later on this year or next year? Will the prices level off, or God forbid go down? So now, if you're wanting to sell, if you're wanting to move, make a move, is the time to do it, because this is the time.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you made that point, and I do completely agree with you on that, because if the rates do go up to say 5% or something, maybe we do things level off. So I think if you are a seller, and I have one, I have a listing coming up soon, and I said, yeah, don't wait. And I think it's very possible, just like last year and the year before, you get to like that late summer point, a lot of people have already purchased, or maybe they're moving on to other priorities in life, and coupled with maybe rates being higher, I think right where we are now is an excellent time to sell. And, a lot of people kind of shy away from selling in the winter time, but I think a winter time is a fantastic time to sell.
Absolutely. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you have less competition. You may be, and I saw, like I here in Sterling where I live, there was a time like a few weeks ago, there was, and this is including condos, townhomes, and single families, there were 7 listings in the whole market. It was just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Wintertime is one of the best times to sell, as you said, because your house shines, because there isn't too much competition. So, so as far as Atlanta goes, I actually just did the analysis before we got on, and the year over year, the average sales price in Atlanta has gone up 23%. That's since January. Wow. That's since January 2021, last January. New listings are down drastically, over 12%. So there aren't new listings coming on the market as many as there were last year. And also, I just checked the days on the market, and days on the market is down 17% to less than 10 days. So to your point, and this is great in Atlanta. So, it's in some areas like where I live, days on the market is less than 3 days, 2 days. So to your point, as soon as a house comes on the market, it's gobbled up, and usually gets about several offers on it, and the sale price list price ratio is usually hovering around 105, 110%. People are paying more for a home just to be able to get it. So yeah, and of course that depends on different areas, but over here certainly. I had one of my buyers Sunday found a house, and he wanted to put an offer on it, and I called the listing agent to see what the status was on the house, and he said that he's had 35 offers on the house.
That's just crazy.
During his open house that he had Sunday, he had over 300 people show up at open house. That's incredible. I think the house ended up selling 40, 50,000 over list price. So yeah, that's still happening. But,
and none of that surprises me. I've spent some time in Atlanta. Unfortunately, I haven't spent any time with you in Atlanta. I'd love to come visit you, but Atlanta's a highly desirable market. There's jobs there. You have generally mild weather. Your winters are milder than what we have. You have generally good weather, diverse crowd, good economy overall. There's lots to do down there, so that none of that surprises me. And glad to see your local market where you live, Kennesaw, is doing well. You are the king of Kennesaw.
You're the Sultan of Sterling for sure.
Market really well.
Well, we're both fortunate enough to live in really desirable areas. Obviously, the Washington area market is also very, very desirable. So yeah, we're lucky in that respect. So where do you think the housing market is going to go this year and next year? Where do you think we're heading to?
So, I always tell people, I always preface it with, I don't have a crystal ball, and certainly things change that are unexpected that can always play into things. But I think, the housing market will, just because there's so much more demand than there is supply, I don't see, first of all, I don't see a big crash coming. I think, as you've looked at the data, I've looked at data, there's not the variables and things going on that was going on back in 2005,
Oh, absolutely.
2006, 2007, as you've seen when you're trying to help a client get a loan. I mean, they ask a lot of questions. The underwriting process is very strict, it's very thorough. So most people that are living in a home, they weren't just given loans with no docs like they were given back, when we were in the housing.
That was a crazy time, wasn't it? Holy moly.
Right. And most people have equity in their home. They're not going to just walk away from their home like they did then. But I do think at some point it's going to level off. And as the interest rates continue to go up, I think, we will see the prices start to maybe flatten, or the rate of increase certainly can't last like this forever. But, if you see that the prices are not going down, but their interest rates are going up, all the more reason not to wait to buy. I think, and as I always say, the most important point that I want to make to your question is you can't try to time the market. I think you see a lot of people. I have a lot of clients on the sidelines. They've been waiting for the market to crash. And, I've been doing videos since the beginning of the pandemic, telling them that, that's not what we're seeing. And my prediction has been that the prices would continue to rise. And they have, of course, real estate is a long-term play, and I think when people try to do that in the stock market, they also lose there. It's very hard to predict where the bottom is and when the high is that you're going to sell at. Everybody loves to buy low, sell high, but, timing the market generally doesn't work well. Buy real estate, keep it, and, you'll see the long-term gains in it.
I guess that would be advice to a buyer or seller is strike while the iron's hot, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And particularly if you're in a case where, I know I said it's hard for someone that wants to upgrade, because, they're going to have to pay a lot of money for their new house. But I think those folks that have done their upgrade these last 2 years, or maybe are in the process now, it works out in your favor, because I always tell people, if you're in a townhouse today and your dream is to be in a single family home, the rate that those single family homes are increasing at is going to be much higher than your townhome is increasing at, particularly now that we're in a phase where people really value more space, more backyard, more maybe privacy between their neighbor, a bigger garage, land, bigger lot, and all those things. I mean, those homes have gone up at a rate that's higher than what a townhome has gone up at. And, if you're going to be taking on a bigger mortgage and, the rates are on the rise, I wouldn't wait to make that move to making the upgrade.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah. You got to seize the moment. If you're interested in selling your house or buying a home, now is the time to do it, because you never know what happens tomorrow. Right. We learned a lesson in, speaking of 2006, 2007, we learned a lesson. The people who sold back then in 2006 sold at a high point, and the people bought in 2006 bought it at a high point. So the ones who sold by far were better off. But yeah, just seize the moment, and when it's the right time to sell and right time to buy. You never know, but if you're interested in doing it, do it now. Ali, I really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming on with me. You're just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to real estate.
Thanks. I appreciate it. And certainly if I have any clients looking at the Atlanta area, you're my guy, and I hope to come visit you down there in Atlanta.
Absolutely. Hey, I thought of you the other day. I went to Rumi's for our anniversary dinner, and
I saw that. That's the best place to go.
It's pretty good. Love Rumi's. Yeah. Man, that place was packed.
Yeah. Reason. Great service, great food. I mean,
both areas. Huh?
I mean, compare that to where we went in Dallas. Same prices, but just the level of food was just not the same. And we tried everything.
It's funny. Every time I think about that place, I'm like, dang, come on.
Now, when you're going to pay $45 for kebabs, they better be good.
Rumi's is actually opening another a branch in Houston.
Houston. I saw that. I was just on their website. I mean, good for them. The guy also named Ali, who's a busy guy, but definitely, man, next time you're up here, let's connect. I'm not going to let you come to the DC area and not hang out with me while you're up here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna at least get together, have some lunch or something. Hey, so how can people get a hold of you, Ali, to use your real estate services?
So you can reach me in a multitude of ways. My phone number is 703-627-1305. Phone call, text message. My website is www.alizinat.com. That's ALIZINAT.com.
You're so lucky to have a short last name. Nice. If I put Masoudpour.com, people will be typing forever.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Okay.
And I'm easy to find on Facebook and Instagram as well. Since I have a unique name.
Is it Ali Zinat on both platforms?
That's it.
You're the best, man. I
All
appreciate
right.
you so much.
All right, great speaking with you, Robert. Much love to you and your family. You too.
What are you doing the rest of the day?
Oh, are we done now? Yeah.